Yo, what up? Welcome to the week 9 Rad Avenger League preview. Which we're kind of in this weird mode right now of like every week feels exciting, every loss, every win feels just monumental. And everything feels like it's just kind of like hanging in the balance. Where a touchdown here or there can change the outlook of the season. And then every Tuesday we wake up and the rankings don't move, or they move by one. And it's just kind of, I don't know. It's been weird. Like everything's just felt so high stakes, and it realistically just hasn't been. I think that's going to change coming up soon. Especially with John and Tim both winning some games here and getting kind of back in the mix for playoff contention. Obviously Trevor kind of having one of the best teams moving forward. Still a long way to go. Need a lot of people to lose. Needs a lot of help. Doesn't control his own destiny, but he's there at 2-6. And if enough people fuck up, he could find his way back into the playoffs. And I don't think anybody wants to see him in the playoffs. Same to be said with John. John has a little bit more control over what he does just because of his schedule, not necessarily because of his team. John's team is terrifying, but he has a favorable schedule in terms of playing the people he needs to play to move ahead of them, being myself, Wade, Andrew, Cameron, the people that he needs to go in and jump against to move up in the rankings. In fact, of the people that are 4-4 in front of him, he plays Andrew this week, Tim next week, Wade the week after that, Charlie, then he plays me again. So everybody he needs to play to move up against, he plays. Or on the other hand, Trevor, he plays he plays Charlie, which is good. Andrew is good, but then he gets Riley, Ashley, and Cameron. Cameron being the tougher of the kind of people in those mid ranges to move up against because he's so far ahead. So a little bit tougher road there. He needs some help. Not to say he can't win all those games. The week 11 rematch with Riley is going to be incredible. But the problem is those winning all of those games, I don't think gets you into the playoffs if everybody ahead of you is also winning the games that they should win. Anyway, the rankings, Riley's still in first, Charlie's still in second, Cameron's still in third, top three didn't move. I slid into the fourth playoff spot off of loss, simply because Cameron won, and then Andrew and Wade both lost as well, and I had the head-to-head tiebreaker over both of them from when I was good. Well, Wade not when I was good, he was just also bad. So then Wade in fifth, Andrew in sixth, 6th, 7th, and 8th also doesn't change, Andrew, Tim, and John respectively. And then we had a flop of the Stevensons in last place. Trevor moving up to 9th at 2-6, and Ashley still hanging out at 1-7 at the bottom. Very close to not being the lowest scorer of the league. We'll get to that in a little bit about who is. I think we all know who it is, but I don't want to spoil anything, and I don't want to say it twice. So looking at the waiver moves this week, actually a lot went down. Wade adding Chuba Hubbard possibly coming back, and Dante Foreman looking just incredible, so we'll see if they keep riding him or whatever happens. Wade also picked up Evan Ingram, assuming that's a bye week plug-in. I picked up Deion Jackson this morning off of the news that Jonathan Taylor is still dealing with an injury. And honestly, at this point, I kind of hope Deion Jackson plays. I'd rather start him. Might be blasphemous, but I said it. We have a kicker with defense. Devin Duvernay back on our roster, and it's Charlie's roster. He was in desperate need of some wide receiver help off of the. I think this is the week he's getting fucked by the Browns. So good pickup for him. I picked up Romeo Dobbs, also needing some wide receiver help. And then we had Charlie also picking up Darnell Mooney. Good pickup. So Charlie kind of solving a lot of his wide receiver needs. Cameron re-adding Drake London. I believe he started the season with him, re-added him. Kind of the hot commodity. Actually, all three of these were really kind of hot commodities. I know I put in a waiver claim for Wade, and honestly, the weird shit that happened where I lost and then moved up a spot kept me from getting Justin Fields. So that is kind of shitty, but I mean, Wade, go Bears. And then Andrew picked up Chase Claypool off of the news of the trade yesterday, who is now a Chicago Bear. Tim picked up Josh Palmer, which I also put in a waiver claim for him, but I was too good weeks 1 through 3, so I didn't get him. Weeks 1 through 4, actually. Sorry. But that looks even hotter now off of the Keenan Allen news that his hamstring somehow got worse over the bye. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't rehab it. I don't know. But Josh Palmer, now your wide receiver one for the Chargers and playing the not great Falcons defense this week. And then John picked up Kadarius Toney, which I think a lot of us kicked around the idea of doing. Nobody really brave enough to pull the trigger. John was. And to be fair, he's got a lot of roster space to play with, so hell, why not take a flyer at this point? But yeah, that's your waiver wire moves this week. Couple beginning of last week that didn't really make a difference. So there's actually a lot of action off of the ad drop this week. So getting just straight into the games. I say straight in. We're 6 minutes into the recording and I haven't talked about a single game. So as always, we're gonna start with the way the rankings go. I may change that up just because it's fucking boring talking about Riley first. He gets all the energy before I'm just like rambling at the end, talking about whoever me or Ashley is playing. Because we stink. So going with still looking at Riley's game, he's got an incredible matchup against Cameron. Riley should, in all reality, like let's actually look at Riley's team. It's good. It's very good. Like there's no debating that. Should he be 8-0? Absolutely not. He should be 6-2. He definitely should have lost last week. Probably should be 6-2 realistically, and kind of right in the thick of losing his one seed. At this point, it's impossible to lose one seed. He's got enough people that he's going to clown to just get to whatever 10 wins he needs to clinch it or whatever it is. So it's there, but I mean this is another week he could very easily lose. You got Patrick Mahomes playing the Titans. Titans not a great. I mean, just look at that game. Like, just look at that game in your head and tell me that the Chiefs don't put up 42 points. Like, just look at those two jerseys on the field and tell me that doesn't happen. So that's my. And it's in prime time on Sunday night. Fucking forget about it. And then Lamar Jackson against New Orleans on Monday night in prime time. So, kind of the same thing here. Just like look at those two jerseys in prime time. Look at Joe Buck calling those two games, and tell me that Lamar Jackson isn't doing just wild shit. Now he may take a diarrhea in the fourth quarter, miss a couple snaps there. That's it. So I honestly think these two can end up canceling themselves out. Going into the running backs, Kamara, Aaron Jones, and the fucking Packers double stack here is incredible. Gus Edwards probably not going to play, so that's not really an option. If it is, obviously he's getting slotted in over AJ Dillon. He's still day to day with a hamstring, so he's probably not going to play. Zeke's on a bye. Benjamin is probably going to play second fiddle to James Conner this week if James Conner plays. So once again, if we get news that James Conner's not playing, I imagine Benjamin will get slotted in over AJ Dillon, but right now it's just hilarious just seeing both Green Bay running backs slotted in for Raleigh. Over on the Cameron side of things, Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I traded away Clyde. I didn't like having him on my roster. I didn't like having to deal with that indecisiveness every week. Whether or not he was going to be good. I mean, the thing is, the Chiefs are going to clown the Titans. Do you imagine Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets a touchdown? I don't think he's going to put up 24, 20, 27 points, but you imagine just about every offensive player on the Chiefs is somehow getting in the end zone. Our Travis Kelce could just score 5 touchdowns again. Somehow, some way, I think every Chief gets in the end zone. Mecole Hardman does a jet sweep, gets in the end zone. Juju does something sweet. Kadarius Toney probably gets in for one play and it's a 75-yard touchdown, which it's just fucking awesome. So every Chief could very well get a touchdown. They have him projected right now at 5-6 points. I assume that's assuming that Pacheco is going to take over the lead role. But CEH is so touchdown dependent anyway that it doesn't really matter. You're either going to get 3 to 5 points or you're going to get 12 because he got in the end zone. So going into the wide receivers, which is where historically Raleigh has been dominant. Cooper Kupp tweaked his ankle. I think he's probably going to play. Non-participant in Wednesday's practice, so that's something to keep an eye on if Kupp doesn't play. Ooh, and I don't really know who Raleigh slots in. I mean, I guess he has to go with Eno Benjamin or take a flyer on Gus Edwards if he doesn't play. That's real interesting. Jamar Chase isn't playing. I guess you hope Gus Edwards plays at that point. Anyway, Stephon Diggs is Stephon Diggs. The Bills are the Bills. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs is just disgusting. Number 1 versus number 2 wide receiver here with Cup versus Diggs. And I think it's actually really close. What are we averaging? I fucking hate the website. Actually, the app would be really good for this, but I'm not pulling it out. Anyway, 1 versus 2 wide receivers there. Once again, they probably cancel each other out. They probably both put up 28, and it doesn't matter. This game could very well be 150 to 145, and it wouldn't shock me at all. It could also kind of be like 108 to like 99. It wouldn't really shock me, just because of the running backs not being the best in the world, except for Kamara and Saquon's on a bye. Yeah, that hurts. The tight ends are Dallas Goedert and Tyler Conklin. That's just for your information. I'm not gonna bother deciphering those. That's who's playing. And then Christian Kirk. I mean, Cameron does have both of my pieces in, which is probably bad news for Cameron. These 2 players were in my lineup the weeks that I did not break 70 points. I went 60, 67, and then 68. It might have been even worse than that. I'm not going to look at it because it makes me cry. So they may be bad news for Cameron there, and one of those weeks was against Raleigh. I don't know how much you can change, but maybe I recommend it just off of vibes alone. Mike Evans against the Rams. I don't like the Rams. I also don't like the Bucks. This game is going to be dog shit. But maybe it's kind of fun. It is a rematch of the NFC Championship game from last year, so that's interesting. I don't really care to talk about the game. Mike Evans is the best target in Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady is still kind of Tom Brady a little bit. So, I mean, he's averaging about 12 to 15 points a game, and that's kind of what I expect Mike Evans to do. So, if going for a pick here, the website has it 116 to 107 in favor of Raleigh. I have to pick Raleigh, basically until he loses. So, it worked with Trevor. I picked him to lose until he won, and now he's won 2 out of 3. And the one that he lost was Raleigh's like 151 point week. So it worked for Trevor. Maybe somebody can finally beat Raleigh and he'll just go winless. But for right now, I'm picking Raleigh. I don't love picking the Packers double stack, but against the Lions, honestly, it could work. They probably both score. So fuck it. Raleigh's gonna win. And that might be homophobic, but I don't care. Going into number 2, which is Charlie. Playing Tim this week. No, sorry. Don't know why I said that. He's playing Trevor this week. Trevor favored 112 to 104. And yes, I was correct. He is getting bye week fucked so hard. Amari Cooper, George Kittle, Nick Chubb, George Pickens, all on a bye. He does still have Andy Isabella. So if anybody was curious who he dropped to pick up all these players, Andy Isabella was not one of them. He is still there. He's just ready to go. Mascot at this point, I guess. Joe Burrow kind of looked human without Jamar Chase, so it's Carolina, but Carolina's been playing well the past couple weeks. Their defense hasn't really been playing all that great. I mean, they just gave up like 26, 27, 28 points, something like that, to the Falcons, which at the beginning of the year would have been an insult, but it's really kind of not right now. Anyway, Joe Burrow, I don't really know how to talk about him when he doesn't have Jamar Chase, because he just did not look good on Monday night. And Andy Dalton, which is Joe Burrow Sr., playing a terrible Baltimore defense, so not a terrible streamer option. Obviously on his bench, he's got Dak Prescott on a bye, so not really a whole lot of options there. I guess he could have gone after Justin Fields and gotten him, which is what I personally would have done, but my fantasy team is dog shit and Trevor's is good, except one of us has more wins. I'm sorry, Trevor. I don't play you again. I can talk shit because it doesn't matter because I don't play you again. And unless we meet in the consolation bracket, which participation trophy. So Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker. God, fucking Devin Singletary's back in the lineup. I can't fucking stand Devin Singletary. Whatever. I mean, I guess you got to do it. Brees Hall, has shattered his leg. Chris Godwin's there, Garrett Wilson's there, Tyler Allgeier's there, which if Cordero Patterson's back, that's not going to be a play. So maybe this changes before kickoff. Or maybe Trevor just believes in Devin Singletary again for some reason. I don't, but go ahead. And then Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette on the other side. It should be Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Leonard Fournette. Chubb on the bye week. Derrick Henry against Kansas City. He's got a big Q next to his name. What's going on? Limited at practice. He's got a foot. That's what happened last year. Anyway, he looks like he's probably going to be fine. Probably just getting some rest. Little maintenance. Yeah. I think we're all good. I think Derrick Henry's going to shoot up. But once again, kind of going back to the just picture these two teams in your head playing on Sunday Night Football. And tell me the Titans score a ton of points. I don't see it. I'm thinking once again 42-17. I think that might be my official prediction. Maybe 35-17. Maybe the Titans keep it respectable and don't get 40 burgered. But put them on 50 burger watch. Just getting that take out there as well. But I mean, Derrick Henry coming off of 219 yards against the Texans. Which if we wanted to be real, I could probably run for like 75 yards against the Texans. So whatever, it's Derrick Henry. He's awesome. Leonard Fournette does get LA, who actually, we've talked a lot of shit about LA. LA stinks. Their defense is still really good. They still have Aaron Donald. They still have pieces. So, and right now they're the number 2, fantasy wise, number 2 rush defense. I don't know how accurate that is in real life football. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now that they are number 7, so still a top 10 rush defense. So Leonard Fournette hasn't looked phenomenal. He's had the one good week where he scored twice. Other than that, I mean, sorry, I just finished my coffee. I mean, where Charlie got him off the keeper pick is his value has just been infinite. But where he's having to be slotted in now with Nick Chubb out as an RB2, I don't love it. Getting into the wide receivers, Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, arguably, two your number 1 and number 2 wide receivers in football right now for Trevor. Personally, I would go like Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp. I don't know necessarily in that order. But yeah, and then on the other side, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is just very good, very fun. But he plays for the Lions, and he's got Jared Goff throwing to him. And Darnell Mooney, who is supposed to be very good, and he would be like a very sick wide receiver 2 on like the Chiefs. The problem is he's your wide receiver 1 in Chicago until Claypool kind of gets acclimated. And we'll see how the pecking order kind of breaks down there. So obviously in the wide receiver department, I'm giving a massive edge to Trevor. I love edging Trevor. Tyreek Hill and actually Tyreek Hill and Darnell Mooney playing each other, so that'll be interesting. And Devontae Adams just getting a pitiful defense in Jacksonville. Amon-Ra getting Green Bay. That's kind of one of those NFC North games where it's like, I know Green Bay is not good, but like they beat the Lions. Like they do beat the Lions. So if they don't beat the Lions, I'm already kind of hitting the panic button on the Packers, but if they lose to the Lions at 1:00 on Sunday, we fully hit the panic button on that. Kyle Pitts looked all the way back last week. 80 yards, a touchdown. It's what everybody thought he should have been. Caught 9 targets, 5 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come for Kyle Pitts, because he's a generational talent. He's catching it. When he gets the opportunity, I think it looks like he's utilizing it. I'm not exactly out here breaking down Falcons film, and if you are, you're just a pervert. But Kyle Pitts looks like he's the real deal. Zach Ertz was kind of just shows up here and there. He scored a touchdown last week, which you could say about any tight end, to be fair. You kind of just show up sometimes, and you do good things. He's got 3 touchdowns on the year. He even had a week where he put up 11 points without a touchdown, 75 yards. So he was he was kind of just growing a relationship with Kyler, but then DeAndre came back and it kind of shut it all down. So, the 2 weeks with DeAndre Hopkins back, he had 21 yards and 34 yards. He did have a touchdown though last week, so that helped us scoring a lot. And he gets Seattle, who historically has not been great against tight ends, unless that tight end's name is Irv Smith Jr. So take that for what it's worth. Did the Vikings even play? Am I high? Did the Vikings play the Seahawks last week? I might be high. Hold on. I don't know. I checked out of football so early last week after this shit show. Couple weeks that I've had. This is great. This is great content. Me checking scores. No, sorry, the Vikings played the Cardinals. Irv Smith is still dog shit. But Zach Ertz wasn't. So there you go. Anyway, I already talked about Devin Singletary. I have a just personal disdain for Devin Singletary. Devin Duvernay is really fun to watch. So his name is really fun to say. And didn't they lose? Rashad Bateman. Didn't they? Yeah, Rashad Bateman's out, right? Really hurt, like possibly deceased. So Duvernay is the best target in Baltimore. I wish it was Brandon Cooks. But it's not. So as far as projecting a winner here, I think I'm gonna go with Trevor to move to 3-6. Is that what he would be? 3-6, yeah. Charlie just losing Amari Cooper and losing Nick Chubb. I mean, having Amon-Ra St. Brown is a nice piece. Darnell Mooney, I don't love. Justin Fields has been playing well, but I still don't love having to rely on him. Leonard Fournette in a tough matchup. Derrick Henry kind of banged up, and in a decently tough matchup against Kansas City. Who, since I already have this pulled up, he's the number 20. The Kansas City number 26 defense in fantasy wise. Against the rush. Actual rating, if you're looking at like yards per game, they are not on this list of 32 NFL teams. What are we doing? Oh, they're number 3. Oh, damn. Good for them. So yeah, I think Trevor wins this game. Unfortunately for Charlie. So next, which we already touched Cameron, so we'll move on to my matchup, and it's actually the first in a double header. I don't know, John, historian, you may have to look into this. Have we ever had a double header? I would assume not, because 6 and 8 man leagues don't typically lend themselves to them. Basically, you play everybody twice, and you kind of just go through the rotation. With 10 man, you can't really do that. It's not a 20-week season, 18-week season. Actually, it is, but then you wouldn't have playoffs. Anyway, so Ashley and I are playing each other twice, and there's a little bit more at stake here than just fantasy football wins. It's projected the lowest scoring game, which makes sense because we are the 2 lowest scoring people in the league. I alluded to it earlier. I didn't say it, but I'll say it. We're a massive 3.4 points apart. Sorry, 3.04 points apart. So kind of like the aggregate winner over the next 2 weeks is, or should I say the aggregate loser is almost destined to be in like dead last place in both points and probably standings. Honestly, if I drop 2 in a row to Ashley, and then I'm 4-6, she's 3-7. She's got the head-to-head, so the second I lose another game, like it's over. I'm in last place. A lot at stake here, and not the good kind of stake, very much the bad kind of stake. On the flip side, I don't. A split is not good. A split, I think, puts me too far behind the playoff picture, because probably one of Cameron, John, Tim, Andrew, Wade, one of them is probably going to go 2-0 over the next couple weeks. And I don't have the points or the head-to-head over most of them, except, well, Wade and Andrew I do, and Tim actually. Fuck you. And John I play again, but once again points. So, not a lot that it looks like is at stake here. The other thing that is at stake is I did verbally agree to take over the Ashley's bitch mantle. If in the verbal agreement was swept, I'll take it one further. and say that if we split and I lose on like aggregate points, so basically imagine it's a 2-week playoff. If I lose a 2-week playoff, I will change my name to Ashley's bitch. I'll do it. So there you go. You've got it. Luckily I don't have to do what I was going to do to Wade in the Discord roles and change my name to Stevenson's adopted child, because I already beat Trevor. And we don't play again. And we won't play again unless it's in the consolation bracket. And the Stevensons don't believe in participation trophies. They've been very adamant about, so that game doesn't count. As far as the actual game goes, Kyler Murray playing Seattle, you would think a very favorable matchup. However, the last time they played Seattle this season, because they have already played them once, he put up his second fewest fantasy points to date. Now he did play them without DeAndre Hopkins, so that is obviously a huge advantage. Is getting D-Hop back. They did play them in Seattle, which once again you would think is a disadvantage. It's not. The Cardinals stink at home, so they hate playing in Arizona. New Call of Duty's been out for a week, so Kyler Murray's kind of had his chance to bounce back, I believe. And Warzone doesn't launch for till next week, and he's playing the Rams and the 49ers, so I may not be starting him anyway. That's the good news. Tom Brady, I think I called him old and deceased last week. It might not have been that mean, but I think I said something along the lines. He had a respectable week, 325 yards, a touchdown. The Bucs still lost, so he's still old and washed, and whatever this plastic surgery he's got going on is. And then I talked about it, and we talked about Fournette. As much as we want to talk about the Rams stinking, and once again, this game is gonna be fucking awful. Like I don't want it anywhere near my screen. And I think I saw somewhere too this week, not to go on another tangent, but I'm going to. Let me just confirm this for my sources. Yeah. So this week we have exactly, if anybody wants to pause the video and guess how many afternoon games we have this week. Like how many games kick off at either 3:05 or 3:25. It's 2. The Cardinals kick off at 3:05, the Cardinals and the Seahawks, and the Bucs and the Rams play at 3:25. What the fuck? Why? Like, I guess maybe the NFL just wants us to have a nice, lovely afternoon. I don't know. And there's not even like a London game or an international game going on early to like make that happen. I mean, you've got Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. I don't know if there's a ton of teams on a bye this week, like more than usual. But that's so fucking strange. Anyway, Tom Brady and Kyler Murray being the two people playing at 3:00, so standalone game kind of. Miles Sanders against Houston. I'm so rock hard wet about Miles Sanders playing the Texans. And I cannot wait to be disappointed on Thursday night. It's gonna be so sad. When Kenneth Gainwell runs for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, or Jalen Hurts runs for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Miles Sanders has like 45 yards and a fumble. But I'm very excited about that. It's the reason I traded for him is because of the schedule he has coming up. He gets Houston. He had Pittsburgh, 78 yards and a touchdown, respectable day. He's got Houston, Washington, Indianapolis, and then he gets Green Bay, who's kind of sneaky, doesn't have a great rush defense. And then Tennessee Giant. I mean, we're talking about playoffs here. I just got to make it there. But Houston, Washington, Indianapolis. Love that matchup. On the flip side, James Conner kind of looking to make his not kind of looking. He is looking to make his first start since week 5. And kind of something to keep just a little bit of an eye on. I mentioned it when I talked about Raleigh having Benjamin. But is James Conner still going to be the starter? Benjamin's looked really good. Did they go more of a committee, which they kind of already had? Does just straight up get more touches? Especially if we're talking about passing down work. Is very clearly a better passing down back. So if the game script lends more towards throwing the ball, is he going to be in more? Does James Conner even play? He practiced limited practice. He didn't really have a great rehab, it's looking like here. So we'll keep an eye there. If James Conner plays, he was a touchdown machine all of last year. He hasn't really been this year, but he also hasn't played most of this year. And he did play those 5 weeks where the Cardinals were just awful. Not that they're great, but they didn't have D-Hop. That D-Hop changes that whole offense. And the other running back here for Ashley is David Montgomery, who worse than Khalil Herbert, but he does get a lot of touches, and the Chicago Bears are looking better. So that's say something nice about David Montgomery. Whatever, it's David Montgomery. They didn't trade him. They won't fully commit to Khalil Herbert, so he still has a lot of fantasy value because he gets a lot of touches. I think if you watch the games, Khalil Herbert is the better running back. But also Kareem Hunt's on a bye. Ashley's got some bye week fuckery here to deal with herself. So everybody's got some bye week fuckery to deal with. Except for me, because my only bye is Melvin Gordon, and his ass wasn't starting anyway. So, Jonathan Taylor, talked about it when we picked up the waivers. Didn't practice Wednesday. We'll see if he's gonna practice Thursday. He tweaked his ankle, so if he's out, I do have Deion Jackson. I was able to scoop him up when the news dropped, so obviously he'll just get slotted right on in there. I don't really have another option unless Cordero Patterson gets activated from IR. Which if he does, he'll probably go on the flex, and still Deion Jackson will play running back, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. Brandon Cooks pissed off at the Texans, like everybody else is. So he hasn't practiced in 2 days, but it doesn't seem to be injury related. It seems to be personal reasons. And Lovie Smith said he's still going to play, but Brandon Cooks is pissed off and tweeting. So I'm gonna be real honest. If Brandon Cooks doesn't play, I'm gonna guess Romeo Doubs is playing. Which, against the Lions isn't a bad call. So, but there you go. Full open dialogue there. This is where Ashley scares me. And it's T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle against Brandon Cooks and Terry McLaurin. And I get it. If I just read the teams, Cincinnati, Miami versus Houston and Washington. T. Higgins, was he had a good week if you just look at T. Higgins in a vacuum last week. He 49 yards and a touchdown, 12.4 fantasy points. That's a good T. Higgins week. It's not a great T. Higgins week. He is capable of putting up 25 to 30, but it's respectable to keep in your lineup. But then you throw in the nugget that Jamar Chase is out, and it's like, ooh. And the Browns are just harassing the Bengals all night. So, maybe it's a 1 week fluke, with a full week of practicing and, using formations without Jamar Chase. I do think it gets better. Plus, once again, they get the advantage of playing the Panthers. T. Higgins is going to put up 80 fucking points. And then Jalen Waddle is also going to put up a billion points. Yeah, he had 26. I said it last week that this could be one of the weeks where Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both hang 40. Wasn't that bad, but it was damn close. I think Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill had 186 yards. Jalen Waddle had 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards. When Tua's playing, Jalen Waddle eats touches. And when Tua's playing Miami, it's just incredible. Terry McLaurin is Taylor Heineke's favorite target. And honestly, he would have broken 14 points if it wasn't for just a dog shit jet sweep that lost him 7 yards. So, you take that away, it should have been 14.3 points, which would have looked a lot better than 13.6. It wouldn't have made a difference in mine and John's game. I got beat by 60. But just, on the score sheet, it would have looked a little bit better. 14.4 is higher than 3. So, I as long as Taylor Heineke's playing, which there's just nothing saying he's not going to finish out the year, I think Terry McLaurin has a lot of value. It's Brandon Cooks that gives me a lot of worries, and until Mike Williams can come back from the injury, or if he can come back from his injury, that's kind of the world I'm living in right now. So love it. I usually don't talk about tight ends, but Mike Williams is out, Keenan Allen's out. I think Gerald Everett's gonna eat. Getting into the flexes, and once again, if Cordero Patterson is activated and looks like he's gonna be the guy, I don't know that I want to be on the outside looking in like Andrew was when he didn't start J.K. Dobbins that week. But if Cordero Patterson gets activated and he's at or close to 100%, he'll be my flex. And I'm also just fully upfront gonna kick around the idea of sticking Jamal Williams in last week, who, you know, just DeAndre Swift is back and everybody's excited about it, and then fucking Jamal Williams scores 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, puts up 21 points. Once again, I got beat by 60. It would not have changed things. But I wouldn't be in this 3-point battle for not last place. Antonio Gibson, you know, everybody was excited about Brian Robinson coming back, and he's sitting over there on my bench. Antonio Gibson still kind of looks like the lead guy, and especially when the Commanders are going to be playing from behind, and he's a better receiving back, so he gets a lot of targets. As far as a prediction, the NFL's got it 98-96, one of the closer games of the week, so that's you know, that's nice. Also by far the lowest scoring game of the week. I haven't looked at the other 2 games that I haven't talked about yet, but that's got to be true. There's no way it's not 98-96. It's just going to be a battle of incompetence. You know, I mean, I guess I'll pick me, and then just honestly for next week's segment, I will probably just straight up just cut what I said right here out and just put it next week, so I don't have to do this all again. The only things that might change is maybe Deebo Samuel is in. Maybe. Kareem Hunt's not going to play. In actually starting lineup. I mean, he's going to play in the game, but whatever. I'm going to pick myself again. He's so stupid. All right, who's next? It's Wade. It's Wade against him. I was dreading that, just even talking about that game, by the way. I'm really happy it's over, and I'm really sad that I remembered I have to do it again in a week. Anyway, Tim is playing Wade. Justin Herbert, you know, 2 days ago I would have said he's going to put up 35 points because Keenan Allen should have been back. And then, you know, like, it'd have been really cool, like, if Keenan Allen was back and, like, Mike Williams' ankle wasn't blown out. With Josh Palmer, Gerald Everett, and Austin Eckler, yeah, I mean, Austin Eckler by himself could probably put up 35 points. Problem is, there he is sitting over on Tim's team. So with no real weapons for Herbert to throw to outside of Eckler, and maybe do you count Gerald Everett as a weapon? I mean, he's a good tight end. I wouldn't call him a weapon. Anything Justin Herbert does is going to be counteracted by Tim, because it's probably going to be to Austin Eckler. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. I think I've said that every week. Although he is coming off of 2 weeks where he's averaging less than 9 points per game. Put up 0 in week 7 and then 17 in week 8. So maybe he's fallen off a little bit. You know, that's just 2 disappointing back-to-back weeks. But he does get the Jets, and the Jets are the Jets. We thought they weren't the Jets, but then it turns out that they played the Patriots. Turns out they're still the Jets. You know, so Josh Allen should get back to his normal 26, 28, 29, 30 point self. He didn't really need to be Superman to beat the Packers, they think. Raheem Mostert, which, so I thought about this 3 days ago, and I forgot about it until just right now. The Dolphins traded for Jeff Wilson, and they already had Raheem Mostert. So I mean, they just took the 49ers running back. So that's not shocking. We knew that was going to happen, or could happen. But the fact that both of them were just on Wade's team, and now one may be cutting into the points of the other or the snaps of the other. Holy fuck, that was so good. This is really interesting. You know, I think this week you're probably safe because I don't know how much attention or how many touches Jeff Wilson's going to get. Raheem Mostert has looked kind of unstoppable a little bit in the Miami offense. But everybody has looked unstoppable in the Miami offense. Miami offense is real good. Dalvin Cook is back for Timmy. I think he was on a bye last week. No, he played the Cardinals. We've already been over this. The Vikings played the Cardinals. Jesus fucking Christ. He was on a bye 2 weeks ago because I had a bench him in my other league. Fuck. Anyway, he's playing the Commanders, who kind of shut down Jonathan Taylor last week, but like the Colts, no, I don't know how much you can count on that. The game is at 1 p.m., so the Vikings are probably gonna score a lot, because The Vikings only score at noon. It's not at 1 p.m. That's Eastern time because this website is dog shit. Anyway, they play at noon. And that's where Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense should always play. If they ever make it to a Super Bowl, it should be played at noon. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there. It may be an unfair advantage for Kirk, but it's gonna happen. Ramondre Stevenson also looks kind of unstoppable. Even with Damian Harris back last week, I mean, 71 yards on the ground, 72 through the air. Ramondre is clearly just the guy in New England. RB7 on the year. You know, the last time he had a game under 17 points was week 4 against the Packers, and even the week before that he put up 18. So, you know, over 10 points in each of his last, what is that, 6 starts, and over 15 points in 5 of those games. Over 17 points in 5 of those games, actually. If you want to get really nitpicky on it. You know, I mentioned earlier Wade picked up Evan Ingram, and I thought it might have been a bye week thing. I forgot he had Mark Andrews, who is looking questionable. Which, interesting that he didn't pick up the handcuff, who looked fucking awesome. Fact. I'm leaving all of this in. Huh. Huh. Interesting. Problem is, I don't really have anybody to drop. I mean, I could give up Deion Jackson. Jonathan Taylor. Am I ready to give up on Melvin Gordon? I think I might be ready to just give up. Yeah, he's RB36. Added Chase Edmonds. Yeah, I don't see a situation in which I'm going to play Melvin Gordon. I'm so fuck. But the problem is I've got to make a slot for Cordero Patterson. Whatever. This video isn't airing for like another 12 hours. Wade. Yeah, Wade, he had Mark Andrews, so he had to pick up a tight end in case Mark Andrews doesn't play. So really interesting that he chose Evan Ingram out of that bunch. Fucking Tim S. Taysom Hill. Forgot about that. I didn't even talk about the wide receivers because I got distracted. Justin Jefferson is, I think, just the best receiver in football right now. Obviously the numbers say Cooper Kupp, but I think just watching Justin Jefferson is fucking awesome. And once again, they play at noon, so Kirk's gonna eat his last 3 games. 12, 98 yards, 13, 107 yards, 154 yards against the Bears, you know, 147 yards and a rushing touchdown against the Saints. That one was in London. Justin Jefferson is just disgusting. And he's been really good without scoring touchdowns the last few weeks, and once again, eventually that's going to change. In fact, he hasn't had a receiving touchdown since week 1. Fuck. And it's funny because like you just assume he does because like he's just always is lighting up the scoreboard. Of course, he had the 1 rushing touchdown in week 4, so he's only got 3 touchdowns on the year, and eventually that's just going to change. And he just gets an awful Washington defense this week. I think he's gonna of everything. Curtis Samuel on the other side. I talked about Taylor Heineke being Terry McLaurin being Taylor Heineke's favorite target. Curtis Samuel had a respectable showing last week. He's doing a little bit of stuff on the ground. So he's just eating into that committee a little bit too. And then you know, he had 50 yards through the air, 9.4 points, which until literally the last play of the game with Terry McLaurin's awesome, you know, like 1 yard line catch. He had the same amount, so you know, whatever. It's probably 10 points in your lineup. fuck. Tim, I didn't realize you were starting Juju too. That's so Juju's last two games. He had 113 yards and a touchdown, and then 124 yards. So that's the good news. I don't know that I'm ready to buy into the hype yet. Tennessee does not have a great pass defense, so maybe we see something there. But I'm just not ready to buy into the Juju on the Chiefs hype yet. Like I said, but that it kind of goes back to, again, the Chiefs in prime time against the Titans. It's going to be a clowning. So, oh my God, Austin Eckler's projected 20 points. Holy fuck. Sorry, I just noticed that. Juju and Tim's still projected to lose. What the fuck? Sorry, it's late. I've had a long day. I'm getting distracted. Juju, I'm not ready to buy into the hype. I just said that. Taysom Hill on Monday night, some fuck shit. I mean, it's always fuck shit. Battle of the Titans on Monday night should be really interesting, actually. And you know what? Now that I see that he's playing on Monday, and like you're gonna have to wait till Monday to see if I'm even gonna get to play Isaiah Likely, means I'm not picking him up. So anybody that wants to pick up Isaiah Likely, I'm not doing it during this video because of that. I'm not risking not starting Everett and then just having Mark Andrews play on Monday night, which I think Likely looked awesome. So he may be just getting touches regardless, but I'm not taking the risk. Taysom Hill on Monday night versus Mark Andrews on Monday night should be fun. Jacoby Myers, Wade can't figure out when to play him. He needed him to score like 40 points on Monday against myself. He got 10. He didn't play him last week, 16. So that's the story of Jacoby Myers, is he's inconsistent and you'll always play him at the wrong time. D'Onta Foreman, last week, put up 31.8 points, and John's mentioned it multiple times. That was not even good enough to be a top 3 running back last week, because running backs just went off unless their name was Jonathan Taylor and they were the number 1 running back last year. There's a lot of just pain in that sentence. And another interesting thing to keep an eye on, Taysom Hill is currently starting, but Darren Waller, according to points projections, looks like he may play again, so I expect him to be in if gonna play. Tim did go after Jordan Palmer, but he's not, or Josh Palmer. Is it Joshua Palmer? Yeah, Josh Palmer, my bad. But not in the starting lineup currently. Still riding with Curtis Samuel and Juju. I think you got to go with the Chargers number 1 option there against Atlanta, personally. So right now the website has it projected 113 to 104 in favor of Wade, and realistically, I think a lot of the projections, what they're doing here is, they've got 6.92 here projected for D'Onta Foreman, and I guess that's assuming Chuba Hubbard's going to play, which it looks like he probably is. So if Chuba Hubbard plays, that's a good bet, and then if he does play, you assume... Oh, wait. Tim, why is DeAndre Swift on your bench right now? What the fuck are you doing? I mean, I get D'Onta Foreman had a good week, but like, if DeAndre Swift goes in, that will, projection wise, it just gives Tim an extra 4 points. If Darren Waller goes in, that's another 4 points. All of a sudden, we're looking at a 113 to 112 game, and it's still in favor of Wade according to the website. So if those lineup changes are made, I may start to lean Tim here, but I hate these wide receivers, and I love the wide receivers for Wade, and he's put together a scrappy group of running backs. Austin Eckler could single-handedly win this game, though. I'm still gonna go with Wade just off of the rest of the line. I mean, Josh Allen and Austin Eckler could combine for 60 points. I'm gonna go with Wade. I've been wrong on every Tim pick this year anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, whichever way I go, it's not gonna work. But I'm gonna go with Wade in this one. So that brings me to our last matchup, and it's the fireball himself, John versus Andrew. Andrew, I think, he's 4-4, and I think he's exactly gone. In fact, I'm gonna go check this. I think he's exactly gone just 1-1, like alternating wins and losses. So let's go schedule by team. He should be the second to last one. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. John, I'm sorry, but I'm not even gonna break down the game. Andrew's gonna win. It's win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Gotta be a win. That's really impressive that I just knew that. Like, just off of vibes. Just if I can talk about that for a second. The website has it here 109 to 108 in favor of John. Which is I think real interesting, just because it's projecting 16 for ETN, which I think is fair. I think he's gonna get more, but it's fair. Damian Pierce in Houston playing Philadelphia at 14. Philadelphia's defense is still really good. Their rush defense, they've got it listed at 19 against fantasy, but I might be wrong. But it's Damian Pierce is the only option in Houston. I mean, Brandon Cooks is fine, but he's old, and Davis Mills can't throw him the ball. So Damian Pierce is really the only realistic option there. AJ Brown, fucking AJ, I will have PTSD flashbacks of AJ Brown for the rest of my life. Once again, lost by 60. Even his 30 points, you could have wiped his 30 points off the board, and it would not have mattered. I still would have lost by 30. But I mean, 3 touchdowns in the first half, 156 yards. Just dominating performance. Chris Olave has just been a reception machine. I mean, even in a disappointing week, where Alvin Kamara scored everything, and so they weren't throwing the ball, he still had 7 targets, caught 5, 52 yards. So I mean, he's a consistent, just PPR, just point machine. So Chris Olave is just a really safe wide receiver option, and then keep an eye out because oh, did John trade DK already? Oh no, he's in the flex. Never mind. That makes perfect sense actually. I was gonna say DK could take over the wide receiver 2 role, but obviously, why would you not flex him if you have those? And Christian McCaffrey on a bye. That makes perfect sense. Tyler, Joe, going to Joe Mixon. Jumping over to just Andrew's team. Jalen Hurts against Houston. My problem with Jalen Hurts specifically against Houston is I don't think that Nick Sirianni is gonna risk anything with Jalen Hurts, because you don't have to. So, and it's once again why I love my Miles Sanders pickup, is why would you have Jalen Hurts running the ball and rolling out and throwing it deep when your offensive line is good enough to just let's just hand it off to Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Kenneth Gainwell, and just let them run all over the yard. So that's why I do think Jalen Hurts in a great matchup may have a down week because they don't need him to win. Could he put 35 points if he wanted to? Yeah, he could. But why risk it? But it is the NFL, and players want to play and coaches want to coach. So that might be why you risk it. Damon Harris, even if he is healthy, even if he's good to go 100%, he's now second fiddle fully to Ramondre Stevenson. But Najee Harris on a bye, Tony Pollard on a bye, Aaron Williams still on IRL on IR. So you once again kind of just stuck without an option there to the bye week. There are a lot of teams on bye this week. Yeah, Pittsburgh, Dallas, Denver, Cleveland, San Francisco. So that's why we have 2 3 o'clock games. Tyler Boyd. Once again, if you look at his let's just look at week 7 and week 8. Week 7 with Jamar Chase, with your number 1 option, 155 yards and a touchdown. Week 8 without the number 1 option, where Tyler Boyd is supposed to step up, 38 and a touchdown. Which both him and T. Higgins, the Bengals were not good. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't know how much you can trust that specific, performance. But also, is it just a bigger picture of, well, if Jamar Chase is in the game, he's getting doubled, which leaves T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd just to win a one-on-one, which they're capable of doing. They're not capable of winning double teams. Maybe T. Higgins with his sizes, but Tyler Boyd, I think he lives off of just beating one-on-ones because Jamar Chase is double and triple covered all the time. Gabe Davis, I mean, he's boom or bust. Last week he was bust, 35 yards, 4.5 points. And I say this in week 6, 74 yards and a touchdown. Just a very respectable, just blue collar line. The week before that was the Pittsburgh week where he had 3 receptions for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Randy Moss stat line. I do like this good, just blue collar stat line though. 74 yards and a touchdown. Nothing flashy. Just get it in. Travis Kelsey, in portion of the clowning that the Chiefs are gonna do, he's projected. I've never seen a fucking tight end projected. Not even Travis Kelsey before. 15 points, 17 points. Travis Kelsey, and I think it's too low. I really do. Over here with John, Mike Gesicki, still riding the Gesicki train, which I think he scored a touchdown and anecdotally, no, he has scored 3 touchdowns in 3 games, but he did not have one against Pittsburgh. He scored 1 last week. He scored 2 in Week 6 against Minnesota. So he's in the Miami offense. Miami scores a lot. It's a good pickup, and he's a decent tight end. Talked about DK Metcalf. I do think he's going to chew up the Cardinals. The Cardinals are small. Cardinals are bad. Cardinals are soft. Cliff Kingsbury needs to be fired yesterday. So DK Metcalf should light up the Cardinals there. And DJ Moore, coming off of just an absolute just thrashing of Atlanta. He should have won the game. God, that catch was so sick. The throw was so sick. 152 yards and a touchdown, 24.5 points. And Andrew didn't start him. So, you know, kind of trying to get a revenge factor there. We'll see if the Panthers can keep up what they're doing. It was actually perfect last week where the Panthers played an awesome, thrilling game and lost. So they can hopefully still get a top 5 draft pick. I am going to go with John here. I do think John is very... even though he plays me again, I do like John to win out. If I were to put money on it, I would put money on John winning out. I think the odds would be pretty high, but I want him. So I am going to go with John here. So just to run down the list, recap again. Riley beating Cameron. We have Trevor upsetting Charlie. Not a Vegas upset, but like a record upset. We have myself taking down Ashley. We have did I say Wade beating Tim? I did say Wade beating Tim. Wade beating Tim. And John beating Andrew. That has been your week 9 preview. Good luck, everyone, and let's have a week.